We're talking actors and directors who put on the shows.
We're talking playwrights and designers who you'll want to know.
From the very first rehearsal to the final curtain call.
We might be off Broadway, but we're talking about it all.
'Cause we're two local gals
with global pals. It's everything, everything, everything theater.
with Benita
And Ellen. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Everything Theater podcast, the podcast where we talk about
Everything Theater. Hi there, I'm Benita Zahn.
And I am Ellen Cribbs. We might be visited by my cat. He is on my feet right now trying to say hello.
It's cold. It's a good place for the cat to be. Keeps your feet warm.
It is, because we're at the end of the year. I'm like, goodness, where did 2022 go?
You know, it's both very long and very short.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't you think?
I think so. I mean, the whole world since 2020 has just been, every year is kind of surreal and weird.
I ran into somebody after a show that I'd worked with, and in fact, you did as well. And I said, God, it's been forever. How long? It feels like. And she said, oh, 3 years. It was right before the world shut down. But I felt like an idiot, you know, but time has there's no like sides to it somehow. It's a little amorphous, but our guests tonight have managed to grab the world as it is and return to the way it almost was for them. We've got Chris Foster.
We're trying.
White with us, and you guys are the most theater-going duo anywhere. I think you deserve an award. Probably, I don't think anybody else can keep up with you two.
Yeah, we got that going for us.
Oh, and among other things.
Among, like having your own theater company and doing a whole
Yeah.
season.
Yeah, play going.
Yeah, before we get to everything you've seen, let's give you guys a round of applause. And I know the folks who listen regularly have to as well, for such a successful launch of Harbinger Theater.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, more than we expected, and amazing. It's just been an amazing year from our collaboration with Jason O'Dell Williams, doing Destroying David, to working with Tom Mooney on Andy and the Orphans, to this, our most recent collaboration, which will have closed by now, but The Agony and the Agony. We sold out 2 nights of the opening weekend. Just fantastic. Our audiences are bigger for Agony than they were for the Christians that we did a year ago. So it's just been fantastic. Thank you. And thanks for all your support and the opportunity to support Everything Theater.
Well, question, because, again, people who listen know that you guys do work that is not frequently done. It's not, you're not doing Neil Simon. We say we love Neil Simon. We always joke though. But you're doing stuff that is, premieres to the area. And how do you get that audience to come? Obviously, you've had great success with that. Do you have any trade secrets for theater organizations out there of how to get people out to a show that they've never heard of before?
Our secret is we're still figuring it out, actually. But, and we're trying everything. So, as each show comes around, we keep trying to add different things, and somehow, at least the word is getting around, and it's happening. So, and we also are priding ourselves on, it's not that we love Neil Simon too. It's not that. It's that we just think there's a whole bunch of plays that nobody does and that nobody will look at because they're afraid to try something that doesn't have a name, name recognition. Mm-hmm. But there's all kinds of stories that need to be told that that people don't know. So, that's really what we're doing.
But Chris, yes, but there are other theaters that have attempted that and have been met with empty seats. And as you pointed out, you had 2 sellouts for Agony and the Agony. why? You know, and this is something we've explored in this podcast many times with folks who run theaters up and down the East Coast, is getting a young audience, cultivating the tomorrow's audience, because again, we're making fun. The Neil Simon audience is passing on. So
Mhm.
we have to reach out in a different way to keep theater relevant and alive. And you're
Right.
doing it. What's your,
Right.
is there a special sauce?
Well, people have said that the audiences are passing away for, 50 years. Every generation has an audience that passes away. And I think that, there you get to a certain age and you go to the theater more often. I think the theaters are more amenable to an older audience. We're charging $15. I comp a lot. And we work. We do flyering, we do mailings, we do press releases. We
You advertise
contact
with us.
everyone. We support you and buy time on Everything Theater.
Interviews when we can get them with the papers, and Perillo, everything. We try everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not, saying that anyone else is doing anything wrong or, but just like knock on wood, we keep pushing to get people to come out and I don't know, maybe people want to see something that they haven't seen before, and our 7 capital region premieres, perhaps that is part of the draw. I know, our list of our favorite shows this year are all things that we have never seen before. I don't know how many revivals we have on our list. It's all brand new stuff. It's stuff that just makes your hair stand on end because you have never seen it before. It's a new idea, it's a new approach, and it's a discovery. There's nothing more thrilling than a discovery in the theater.
Well said.
Yeah.
So let's use that as the transition. Okay, guys, how many shows did you see this year?
We don't have a final count yet. It's close to what we did in 2018, which was 242. We're shy of that right now by, I don't know. Did you do the final count?
I did do better.
Yeah, I think we're shy of that by half a dozen or so. Something like that.
Wow.
So 230 something.
Best of times, worst of times.
Yeah. In 2019, we saw 317, I think something like that. I don't think we'll ever do that again. It's just, we also produced 6 shows this year. And
that takes a lot of our time.
And Chris directed at Curtain Call as well,
Yeah.
twice, right? Yeah, Chris did 2 shows at Curtain Call besides our Harbinger schedule, and I think there are some shows that we don't need to see again. We pretty much hit our limit on certain shows, not to mention any names, but if someone's doing it, we would have to, my nephew would have to be in it for me to go see another certain shows. So thankfully, he's in The Goat by Edward Albee at Schenectady Civic. So we're dying to see him in that.
Very nice. When does that go up?
End of January 19th, something like that. But yeah.
Road trip, Ellen.
Yeah. I don't know that show. Talk about discovery.
It's so
I don't
good.
know how I don't know it, but yeah. I mean, I know the
it's
title.
so good. It's one of the mysteries why it has never been done in the Capital Region. This is its Capital Region premiere.
Wow.
It's a great play.
So what were some of the other highlights of the year?
Well,
So we sort of have separated. Actually, it's very funny because we both made lists, and then we just recently earlier this evening compared them. They're almost exactly the same.
we're just so in tune with each other.
Well, after how many years, guys, are you
We
together
have
now?
one heart beating together. 21 years. It'll be 22 in February.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Congratulations.
top play, one of our favorite plays was Fat Ham, James Iam's adaptation of Hamlet. You really can't even call it an adaptation of Hamlet. You know, there's a father that gets killed, and you know his ghost appears, but
And a Southern barbecue.
yeah, it all takes place in a Southern barbecue, and Hamlet is an overweight gay black man named Juicy, and it is just a wild play. It's a takeoff on Hamlet, and one of the
Where was
reviewers
this?
says it takes off. You know, there are these karaoke sequences. The Players is a game of charades. It's just wild and fun party of a show, and within that, it explores gender, race, uh, you know, kinship, what you owe, you know, your family, your community. It's just a fantastic play. It's a Pulitzer Prize winner last year. We saw it at the Public, and it just announced that it's coming to Broadway. It's getting a Broadway run. So,
And the reason we picked it, I've never had as much fun in the theater in a really long time. Like, you know, just enjoying myself, you know, laughing and, you know, cheering.
yeah, hooting and hollering, dancing, you know, just a wild,
Wow.
wild time.
And the title again?
Fat Ham.
Fat Ham.
Do you need to
Yeah.
be a Shakespeare person to appreciate it, or it's just
You
so
might
out there?
not recognize Hamlet in
Yeah.
this play.
Although, like all the main characters are there. They just may not be, you know, what you remember from Hamlet.
Okay, what's next on the list?
I got Downstate. Have I already talked about Downstate?
I
I'm not
didn't
sure.
get to see that. It's one
I'm
of my
not sure if I
favorite
talked
theaters.
about it last year because I read it,
No,
but yeah, Downstate is one of my favorite plays.
there's Playwrights Horizon at Playwrights Horizon.
Right, it's running
Mm.
through next week, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's right for a Broadway transfer.
Mm.
We shall see, but I think it's up for this year's Pulitzer. It's by Bruce Norris, who wrote Clybourne Park. It's four men who live in who are sexual offenders who live in a halfway house downstate Illinois. And they all have ankle bracelets or parole officer visits, and it's about their reintegration into society.
Mhm.
And one of them is being confronted by a victim when the play opens, and it has, you know, questions of justice and of you know, debts being paid, and what, you know, how do these men live? You know, what do we do with these men, and how are they ever integrated back into society?
Right. And do we allow them to integrate back into society? And also, you know, we say, okay, you can only be, you know, you have to be this amount of distance away from this. But it's like, then we stop thinking about it because they're this distance away. But, you know, how are they able to function and survive? And there'll be people that say, oh, well, they deserve this. But you know, the play explores all those things,
And
and
it's wildly funny, and it plays like a thriller, at a certain point, you know that something's going to happen. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop. And there's an enormous amount of tension that builds up. And the climax is, you know, thrilling.
That has become one of my favorite houses to see a show.
Yeah.
If folks haven't gotten to the city to Playwrights Horizon because of the intimacy.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see Downstate yet. I got a week, as you point out, but we saw Catch as Catch Can.
Yeah, we miss that.
And that was also just 3 characters performing 4 or 5 roles. And God bless, I have no idea how they learned all those lines and the rapid fire delivery on them. So that brings me to ask performances. What were some of the best performances you saw?
So on the quirky side, we saw a play called Titanic, which was a musical, and it was Celine Dion and Titanic mixture, and it was a cabaret kind of telling of the story of her and how she, you know, insinuates herself into the story of Titanic. Yes, and it's a parody, and it's wildly funny.
And using all Celine Dion songs. Like when the captain takes charge of the ship, he's singing Drive All Night. And the iceberg is actually played by a very large black drag queen, you know, singing Proud Mary or, you know, River Deep, Mountain High. Yeah. With a blue and silvery wig. Yeah, it's wild.
But the woman that played Celine Dion was great, and she didn't try and impersonate her perfectly, but she had all these qualities and quirks that just fit it so perfectly. It was, you know, that was another just, you know, great fun to be in the theater and watch, and the audience was, you know, just right there with her with every moment.
Was there a lot of chest banging going on?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. And we go locally. Shannon Rafferty in Troy Foundry Theater's Not I, her Beckett piece, where it was just her mouth revealed, was you know, really I don't even have the words for it. A thrilling performance. It was just breathtaking. You know, it was like a special effect or something.
Yes.
You know, it was so mesmerizing. You know, I just couldn't take my eye off of it.
Too.
What's that?
Troy Foundry is
Troy Foundry. Their evening of Beckett. She did Not I. Yeah. And we also have
we enjoyed Violet over at Schenectady Light Opera.
Ali Mantica playing the title role,
which is a musical that's not often done. It's a difficult piece, but they did a great job with it. You know, and I feel like that they are an organization that in the past would have only chosen you know, pieces that people know, you know, the Oklahoma, the Sound of Music, those kinds of musicals. But they, you know, them doing Violet, doing Once, doing you know, some of these other the glorious ones. They're making a lot of choices, and they're filling their houses. So you know, it can be done, I think.
And I was gonna say props to them for once. I was kind of mean where I thought you can't pull that off. Like that is such a hard show, you know, with to play all that music as well, and you know. But I was so moved by that production, and
it was lovely. Yeah,
loved it. Yeah.
We also have How I Learned to Drive at Albany Civic Theater on our list with Evan Jones and Jen Van Eiderstein Great cast, great ensemble cast. Evan was called in to play the title role when the lead actor had to leave a few weeks before going up, and then David Rook co-directed with him, and I thought Evan did a fantastic job as Peck, and Jen was just
like we haven't seen her before, actually. It was,
yeah,
you know.
And I spoke to her the opening weekend, the Sunday that they opened, and she had just in the lobby afterwards, she just looked so wrung out from everything that play demands of, and I can't imagine, going through those scenes, for whatever 7 days straight, and reliving that night after night, is just a real challenge that I thought they did an extraordinary job with. Very, very moving.
On a negative side, we saw Theater Barn.
Yeah, just today.
Just saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they announced they're closing after 38 years. They suspended operations this summer. They only did 3 of the straight plays, and then before they started their musical, I think they suspended operations, and they announced today that they're closing up shop. Yeah, that's sad. We've seen some great things there. I worked there once, but we've loved going there. It was a different kind of place. Again, it did different, smaller musicals, some strange offerings. But we saw Kathleen in Rebecca Gilman's Boy Gets Girl there. And, we've been devotees for 10 years. So, yeah, that's sad. And there was another piece running today, the Spa Little Theater, which Homemade used to perform in, is now exclusively music. SPAC took it over, and it was one of the best houses for theater, one of the, real, mid-sized theater with, an actual backstage and, a proscenium,
First, I can tell you it was a delight to perform there.
Yeah, beautiful house.
Well, yes, Chris.
Well, but my only problem was, that you really did feel like you had to, use everything you had vocally in order to, fill the space, though.
Yes, there were some dead spots there, but it was a neat place to. If those of you who maybe we'll put it on our page, but there's a picture that includes Chris and myself, and he's
you have a plunger?
He's in charge of the show. It was Urinetown a number of years ago. And in fact, Chris, our last show, we had Jonathan Witten on with us, who had directed that. But it was, to your point, yes, there were dead spots, but it was a great space for theater.
Yeah.
Which in some ways, and then Ellen, used outdoors to perform. There are new areas with different shows, as you point out, that you're embracing. We're also, even as some venerable facilities close or change, we're embracing different spaces in which to perform. And that changes the dynamic too, doesn't it?
Well, it does, because it also determines how many people can see it, because different venues, like in this venue that we're currently using, it's limited to 60 people, and really there is no room to put anybody else beyond that. So, and each place you go to, it has a, some places are smaller. When they did Little Foxes over at Tenbreck Mansion, all the chairs were, jammed together in corners. and different spaces, have different make for different viewing experiences.
So what are some things in 2023 that we're looking forward to?
Oh, we didn't think about that, did we?
Well, I know, Harbinger has a season coming up.
Yes, tell us.
Yeah, we haven't sent out a press release, although it was in our holiday card, so it's public, I guess. Yeah, I'm directing Dig by Teresa Rebeck. We're the second company to do this after its world premiere in Dorset in 2019. And that's going to be done as a co-production with Sand Lake Center for the Arts. And then we are doing The Mother Blank with a Hat, and that will be done at Albany Civic Theater by Stephen Adley Guirgis, directed by Brian Sheldon. And then in September, we're looking for a space for the world premiere of Custom Cuts by the aforementioned Brian Sheldon. And that's going to be directed by Monet Thompson. And then in December, Chris is directing Mrs. Packard by Emily Mann. And that's a play based on a historical incident in the 19th century where a man had a disagreement with his wife and locked her up in a sanitarium. And
in old timey times, you could do that. If you disagreed with your spouse and you were a man, you could have them put away.
Yeah.
And this woman, though, after being there and not being able to, she tries desperately to get out of there. She winds up reforming the whole system from within, and it's a real person. This
and
Mrs. Packard.
It's a half court case and half fight for your life inside a sanitarium. And that's going to be done at the Albany Barn next December. But
For Christmas.
yes,
Oh, of course.
the holidays.
Do I see Kathleen doing this role?
Oh,
It would be great.
but other things we're looking forward to.
And that would
I
be
know
Kathleen
Brandon
Carey.
Jacobs.
For the uninitiated, that's Kathleen Carey I'm referring to, an absolutely
Yes.
marvelous actress.
Who we've collaborated with many times.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Brandon Jacobs Jenkins has a new play at Signature Theater. What are you looking forward to? Oh, well, we have a trip to London planned.
Oh, yes, we do. I am looking forward to that.
We're going to get our fill of
Surprise!
British theater. We're looking forward to that. We've never been.
And
Well,
we don't know we don't know all what we're seeing. We're just starting to pick the plays now. So
That's where I fell in love with theater. Was in
Oh,
London as a
wow.
child. Oh, nothing like the
There
West
is
End.
one play we're going to that we have tickets to. It's by James Graham. And it is the Gore Vidal William F. Buckley debates after the 1968 Democratic Convention. And it's with Zachary Quinto. And yeah, that's one of the big names. But we're seeing Life of Pi, and there's a Zadie Smith play called Wife of Williston, which is based on one of Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, but it's set in a pub. And that actually announced it's going to have a run at BAM this spring in Brooklyn. So we didn't need to go to London, but
oh well.
The fish and
Yes, well-
chips will be fabulous.
yeah.
Will you be going to the Globe?
We are. Oh, I didn't tell you.
Oh, surprise.
Yeah, I think Henry V. Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, it's very nice. But what else are we looking forward to? There's a new artistic director at Barrington
American
Stage,
stage, right?
and they just announced Cabaret. It'll be fun to see a new artistic director and see what they do.
Because that was one of our favorite summer places to go, was Barrington Stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we loved the two plays we saw at Williamstown last summer, but the season was kind of shortened and compressed. They only had two plays, and then the Most Happy Fella in Concert, which many people did not care for. But it was just a shortened and constricted season, and I think they were trying to operate without interns, or there's some there's a whole workforce and what they were asking people to do in the summer theater schedule, which just took them from doing 7 plays to 2 plays. Both plays we saw were fantastic, but we were kind of disappointed with.
There's still been a shakeout in the Berkshires in the summer.
Yeah.
It has not returned to pre-pandemic times. Finding footing. We'll see what happens when the summer rolls around now. Speaking of which, Merrily We Roll Along, Sondheim, redone on Broadway. Any interest in seeing that?
So interesting. We saw Maria Friedman's Merrily in Boston. So it is virtually the same script. They may still be tinkering with it, and we loved it, actually. We really enjoyed it there. So it's possible that we may see that again, but it's like, I feel like it's not pressing, since she was involved in the one in Boston, and she is involved in the one now. But certainly if tickets come our way, we probably won't refuse. But there's other things we'd like to see, because we have seen that show I don't know, 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, Hubbard Hall and Slock did it just this past year. Yeah. Great cast though.
I think a lot of Sondheim in 2023, due to his passing, unfortunately, right? So I know.
Yeah. There was quite a bit this year. We were looking at the number of Sondheim we saw this year. There was a Sweeney Todd that Opera Saratoga did with Carol Lee Carmelo.
Right.
We saw
Marry Me a Little up at Weston, right? Is that Marry Me a Little?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And putting it together at Depot Theater. It was our first trip to the Depot Theater. And there was an evening of Sondheim songs at Mac Hayden by Meredith Lustig. And Assassins.
Yeah.
Assassins. How could we forget Assassins?
Actually, that was great.
Benita, you were so good. I loved what Owen did with that from the moment you walked into the theater. That's actually on my list.
It's on my list too.
Okay. So, but yeah, and how every character in that was so committed.
Right there, Assassins.
But,
it's a show that had been looked at for the past 3 years, but the timing was never right. And now it was. And that's another thing with theater, isn't it? That there are shows that, and we'll go back to Company when it opened, Sondheim in 1970 was not a hit.
well, we saw Company this year.
We saw Company this year as well.
Right? But
Yeah. Well, most of a lot of Sondheim wasn't necessarily a hit. I mean,
Merrily We Roll Along.
Yeah, Merrily We Roll Along ran 2 weeks, but I don't know. But he keeps getting, he'll be done forever. He'll be constantly revived. Oh, we saw Company at Siena as well.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Twice this year.
Yeah, you liked it.
Yeah. Yes.
So, Ellen, we got a minute.
I know. I was like, I'm looking at the clock. We're running out of time. So
And there's so many things we could talk about. It's unbelievable.
I know this is a good, brief cap on the year. It's always so lovely to have you two gentlemen join us for our final episode of the year. I can't believe this is the fourth time we've done this, right? Where's the time go? But yeah, so for our listeners, my departing thought for you this year is do please, if you're in the area, go to Harbinger Theater. I've seen everything you guys did this year and it was phenomenal. I really, really appreciate the work you guys are doing, and go support them, guys. $15, you can't beat it.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you. Yeah, we're very grateful to all our volunteers too.
Yeah, and grateful to Everything Theater. This is a fantastic resource to have in the Capital Region, to have you broadcasting every week on topics, near, far, wide, and, everything that you guys cover.
Everything Theater.
Yeah.
That's right. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, please, give us a rating, 5 stars. Please let folks know, and so that we can continue. Thank you. Here's to standing O's to you guys in 2023. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Benita.
you.
Thanks, Ellen.
Absolutely.
care.
And for our listeners, we'll talk to you in 2023. I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And I'm Benita Zahn. Be well.
Thank you so much for listening to the Everything Theater podcast. Special thanks goes out to Alice Grinling for our photography and Justin Friello for composing our amazing theme song. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to share your thoughts or what's going on in your theater community, you can reach out to us on social media or through our email at everythingtheaterpodcast@gmail.com. Till next time, it's everything, everything, everything.